Hi, I'm Gautam Kurmila. Today we have Sai Krishna, co-founder of House of Models.
Agents working ambiently is probably 10 times more powerful. And it says the rise of a one-person unicorn or a one-person billion-dollar company.
And what is your vision for the shopping page of the future? So welcome to Seed to Scale, AWS Inside the Engine Room. Today we have Sai Krishna, co-founder of House of Models. Welcome, Sai. We are hearing great things about you building on ShopOS. Talk us about the journey. What problems are you solving for end customers as well as businesses?
First up, Chief, thanks for having me. I am gulping down my third cup of chai in excitement, but more than anything, how far has the world shifted in about a year, right? Which is, since we got started, we said, okay, if AI is big, AI in e-commerce could be very exciting. It's probably a domain that we've worked in a little while. Let's give it a shot. In about a year, what we've noticed is the kind of ways that AI has been used by brands and marketplaces is nuts. Half the time, we're learning more than we thought we would. And the other half, we're just ensuring that the use cases work as intended. It's been fun. It's been exciting. A lot to be credited for about the AWS journey as a part of that transition. Can't wait to unpack a lot of it with you.
Yeah, but what is the core problem that you started with? And was that, and again, how did you arrive at the problem statement? How did you validate that actual need?
Rewind a little. It's about half a decade ago, where we were building a 3D and AI startup called Scapic. Now, Scapic existed in the pre-generative AI era, where we 3D modeled a bunch of e-commerce artifacts. We then had them put into a game engine and then taken a bunch of photographs on, and then someone writes interesting enough product descriptions of them. And then this piece of furniture or this gadget or a household item gets listed in an e-commerce marketplace. While augmented reality was interesting in putting a chair or a vase in front of you, its effective monetization engine happened to be commerce. And we exited that company to Flipkart, and during which time we learned a lot about how brands and marketplaces at scale go through a crazy number of problems, just ensuring that they list, maintain, market, and manage the right products to the right customers in the right formats. Sometimes you want to see a rich visual image of a product. Sometimes you might want to see a video of the product. Sometimes you might want to see a user-generated review of the product. The customer context through which commerce comes in is almost infinite. And the one thing AI seems to be particularly good at solving is infinitely good personalization to an infinitely segmentable number of customers. So we said, look, that's the end goal. But where do we start? We said, let's start with taking care of one thing that every brand needs: cataloging. Great catalogs start to build customer confidence. A catalog is going to be images of the product, videos of the product, describing what the product is in good copywritten details so that your customer feels like this is a brand I can end up trusting. We said, let's probably think of a catalog as a compute problem to solve over a creativity problem to solve. Which is, if I can throw GPUs at cataloging, can I try solving it in an agentic way? So far, that seems to be a pretty exciting yes. From there, if you go from catalog, you go to campaigns. If you go from campaigns, you go to the entire commerce orchestration. And that is when you sort of open up into bigger opportunities. And that has been the year, and that was what was the genesis of the problem, where we saw the pain firsthand, having sold our previous company to a marketplace. And then we said, let's probably try taking an AI way of solving much of this.
And you also talked about ambient agents, while we were chatting some time back. Can you talk about what is the future in e-commerce? How are you leveraging some of those concepts and, I would say, the agentic layer to enable hyper-personalization?
We would call this 2 left turns before a right turn. What were the 2 left turns that we did? We first thought that a chat box is the ultimate interface, right? Like any brand is going to pop in and start interfacing with every product that they have inside this rectangle and ask questions and derive answers or images or videos. Turns out, while the chat interface in itself is extremely important, the convenience of what agents can do on top of them is very useful. Here's why. Let's assume you and I are running a brand. You have a fantastic pair of sneakers, so let's assume we are running a sneaker brand. It's very convenient for me to log into an OS and have 30 drafts of the way that the brand has to position itself, the visuals of the same, the copywritten formats of how you can talk about it, the next ad campaigns you should run, comparative benchmarking around what are the 3 other brands in India that are crushing it in the sneaker space versus you, versus your pricing, versus your customers. We started realizing that AI is almost the perfect draft engine. It might not nail the end orchestration of it just yet. We'll get there, but it's probably not there yet. But what it does give you is no blank slates. You start with meaningful drafts at any point of time. We previously had to prompt to get the draft. You ask a question in order to receive an answer. You then link the answer before you use it in your email or your article or your exam. But now, the agent does much of that for you. It checks for quality, keeps something brand consistent, generates a bunch of drafts in any modality, and provides that back to you. Now, assume and extrapolate that to about 20, 30 agents. A bunch of them are doing cataloging. A bunch of them are doing pricing and discovery. A bunch of them are doing customer conversations where they pretend to be voice agents that take in inputs in order to refactor. You suddenly have a world where many of the brand functions can be orchestrated by agents till a draft, and you're simply like this curator of sorts. And that in turn is where we started saying, hey, agents working ambiently is probably 10 times more powerful than agents working actively. So far, we've been in the active loop of agents. Reply to this email, generate this image, finish this task. It's an active way of us asking AI to do some workflow. The ambient side is going to be like you set a budget. You sort of log into an OS, set the budget, and you simply have GPUs running behind the scenes in order to ensure that the ambient agents take care of most of that. That at least is the hope, and we see strong signs that we can build towards that sort of a world.
And how are you enabling all this, one-person companies, one-person brands who's getting to the space? I mean, they don't have those big budgets, big studios to do this, product shoes, create catalogs and all of that, right? So are those your target customers today?
Thought began in a very interesting blog. This was by Sam Altman, and it says the rise of a one-person unicorn or a one-person billion-dollar company. The hedge is that you can have AI running all of the brand functions or the company's functions while you simply can build out value, and that would be worth $1 billion. Ambitious, but we think it's far more realistic for it to be a brand first up. Just accruing to GMV, you can possibly build a one-person brand pretty much with the technologies that exist today. If I were to sell this chai cup, which is pretty interestingly shaped, what do I need? I need ways to make, market, and manage this chai cup. What do I mean by that? I need to make incredibly good-looking visuals of the same so that people are happy and confident about what they see. I need to market that in a uniquely differentiated way so that this stands out between 5,000 other chai cups. And I need to manage my pricing, orders, inventory, the surfaces where they discover me. Is it TikTok, Instagram, marketplaces like Amazon? And how do I ensure that I then rank up on Amazon as one of their better sellers? So the making, marketing, and managing of a brand, if it could be done by AI, I can simply focus on selling the best cup possible. We think today's technologies can unlock enough of that already, and we're building towards that vision. Now, what do we call that? We call that one-person brands, where I can sell you a chai cup, you can sell potted plants, someone else could sell sneakers. The fact is, nothing stops you from selling on the internet today, and it could be your own product in your own design, made in a way that you believe a brand should stand for, and that infinite customizability that AI gives you can be really put to use through a use case like this.
Yeah. And what is your vision for the shopping page of the future?
That is fascinating, isn't it? I'm preaching to the choir here in terms of a PDP page, as we call it, or the checkout page where we come into. Amazon has perfected that page to a scientific fault, where the button, the sizes, the text, the layout, the density, the visuals, each one of this has been put through hundreds, if not thousands of hours of A/B tests before they've existed in this format. Now, what's the one piece that does not exist today? If I open a mechanical keyboard that I wish to purchase, and you open a mechanical keyboard that you wish to purchase, and if these products happen to be the same, the visuals happen to be the same. We all see the same visuals irrespective of the context with which we want to make this purchase. I could be a gamer wanting to purchase them versus you could be wanting to get through your emails faster. But the customer context has not been factored into that page, either through the visuals or even sometimes through the text in order to present that information to you. Why? Because before GenAI, it simply was not possible. Where the shopping page of the future can be built around you as the user versus the brand. Today, the page is built around the brand. It's what the brand wishes to tell you. Here are interesting looking visuals. Here is text that I told the marketplace to put out there. Here's a price that I have dictated. You can choose to buy on the information that the brand has broadcasted. So it's a brand to broadcast ratio that exists. While the shopping page of the future could be user to unicast, which is you're the user. I understand you don't game all that much because you clearly haven't purchased enough gaming products and you haven't necessarily given me enough info for me to believe you're a gamer. And this goes into what we call as bandit algorithms or multi-armed bandits. It's how social media platforms are addictive as that. You watch cat videos, I'll show you more cat videos. I watch cars, I'll show you more fast cars. It's been there for a while, right? Now, how do you take bandit algorithms and bring it to PDP pages? I suspect that's where the page itself starts looking very different. The products could be on you. The products could be in the customer context, which is inside in your home, or the products. You can have good answers to questions such as, is this a good purchase for me? Where it can factor in, you're spending too much. This might not look good in your home. This makes no sense compared to your previous transactions that you've had. The way that the customer context and the customer themselves can be built around the page of is just super fascinating. And we think the page of, say, 5 years from now, what a PDP would look like would be fundamentally different from what it looks like today. And that is purely because AI agents would be doing the checkout process, would be doing the discovery process, would be doing a bunch of things in between to personalize that page for you. All that you do is see something that is as good as a bandit algorithm that's working for you in order to make sure that the purchase is good or bad.
I think, yeah, we are again reading multiple things about, future where there are no clicks, right? I think that's something which is probably also will end up getting into e-com in a big way.
Suddenly you now have like an endless pit of content. It's one product, but I can have 1,000 variations of the visuals. I can put it on you, around you, put it you and your friends. Fashion becomes completely different. We can solve for the look and feel. We can eventually solve for the size and fit. You could then solve for customer confidence, which in turn leads to lower returns, which in turn leads to a better engagement rate for newer brands that wish to spend that kind of premium using AI. What you're effectively looking at is the commerce stack, and probably companies that end up exploiting AI in each parts of the stack will start standing out a lot more evidently than the ones who don't, because the brands look better, the brands sound more consistent, and the brands feel more personal. Because AI is behind the scenes doing much of that job of slicing and segmenting those sort of personas and targeting you in a more precise sense.
That's right, yeah. And changing gears, again, as a co-founder, one of the big things is about fundraising. What to hear about your journey and your experience in terms of raising your first round? What are those lessons learned? And if there is any advice for early stage founders, what would those one or two things would be?
Every fundraise is a roller coaster. Like if you ask any founder, they will tell you that their raise was probably one of the most adrenaline-inducing processes of their lives. That said, raising in AI is something else altogether. Because you have to combat three things. On one side, this ecosystem changes every quarter, realistically, where model releases, your competitors, the market, what sort of tools that companies use, all meaningfully shift within 1 to 2 quarters.
Yep.
Which means, how do you plan, right? And on the other side, you've got someone asking you for a 5-year plan, right? Which makes zero sense. So the first thing is back yourself from the standpoint of there is no plan after 2 quarters here. You really have to reassess and understand what the market demands of you and take it out there. The second, the way you discover customers or your beachhead seems to be very different. What we tried a bunch of approaches, and what really stuck was we basically just had to embed ourselves with brands and marketplaces pretending to be their AI team. I think the easiest way in order for you to solve for real pain points is to not sell, just be their AI team and almost have the whiplash of all the chaos that a big company or a mid-sized company has in terms of every function that requires AI downward trickle to you, and you stack rank them in meaningfully good problems to solve and go about the same. And the last, throw spaghetti at the wall. Something does stick. What I mean by that is a company as legendary as OpenAI required ChatGPT as a consumer wrapper around GPT as a model in order to become a consumer grade hit. And this comes from someone like a Sam Altman himself, who says throw spaghetti at the wall and you will eventually find that something sticks. So initial days, the biggest advantage with AI is time to experiment has probably come down to zero. Right? You can vibe code a basic version of what you wish to express as a product, a SaaS or an idea pretty quickly. It's going to look bad. It's going to barely work. It's going to be rough at the edges. That's fine. There is still enough pain that the right companies seem to be solving that demands for this to be worked upon more. So the spaghetti is inexpensive and it's fast. So for founders, finding a way in order to consistently keep that iterating engine seems to be super useful. And iterate by masquerading inside that company if in case you're in B2B. That became quite useful for us. We did not do these two for like a decent chunk of time. It did not yield enough results. We switched gears and we said, let's probably get started with this process per se. And then from there, once we got those bits in good order, it took us about a couple of months in order to close the race itself.
Well, awesome. Thanks for sharing your learnings and thanks for joining us. Always fun to chat with you, Sai. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And can't wait to see the ways that Amazon leads the charge when it comes to what AI and e-commerce can do. And startups in turn can learn and as well as contribute to that process.
Days ahead. Yeah. Look forward.